Hey, what's up? Ken from Palm Beach Dyno here. Today on the dyno we have John's 2014 Mustang GT. This is a fairly stock Roush build. It has the stock pulley on it from Roush, the stock tune on it from Roush, pretty much as it comes, just with the thermostat change. What we're going to do today is we're going to baseline this tune and then we're going to load our tune on it. One thing that we know about the Roush tunes in the past, you see a lot of S550s, 15 and plus cars on our dyno doing back-to-back, and we get good gains on those. If you go back to the 11 to 14, I think the gains were even a little bit bigger because the tune was a little bit even more on the conservative side than they do the 15 through 17 tunes. So let's go ahead and see what it makes, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we went ahead and did two baseline pulls because I wasn't 100% sure this first number was right. The power is a little bit lower than I even expected on this factory tune. So 479 and 408 torque were the best. Let's look at this. Peak power was pretty much at 6,600 RPM on both. This is the same tune, so they should be fairly close. It saw a peak boost of 9.65, and here's the power curve. Now, one thing you will notice, and one thing that limits the power on this, and one area that we're going to pick up quite a bit of power, is this tune's limited down to near factory rev limiter. We don't spin the Gen 1 Coyotes as high as we do the Gen 2 and up, but we'll still spin this to about 7,400 RPM. But I think we can also get some pretty big gains everywhere here. So let's see what happens. Rob's getting the tune loaded up right now, and then we're going to do another pull. Okay, these numbers make a little bit more sense for this setup, so let's go ahead and take a look at them. Went from 479 at peak power of 66, almost 6,700 RPM, to 567 at almost 7,500 RPM, and that's as high as we're going to go RPM wise. And it went from 408 foot-pounds of torque right at 4,000 to 495 foot-pounds at 4,500. So I mean, this is what we would expect out of this. Are all cars going to gain this? No, that's going to be very dependent on what the current tune is, of course. But let's go ahead and take a look at the graph, because this is really what we like to concentrate on. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of the baselines so it's a little bit easier to look at. 1 second. Okay, well, I messed up. There we go. Okay. Okay. Here are the two graphs with the one baseline taken off, just so it's easier to look at. As you can see from the immediately when you tip in, there's an instant gain of Let's take a look here. We're talking 77 foot-pounds of torque right there, and let's see, just short of 50 horsepower right the minute you step on it. There's huge gains right here. It looks like roughly 382 horse and 486, so you're over 100 horsepower there, and 380 torque to 483, so that's over 80 foot-pounds of torque. 100 horsepower and 80 foot-pounds of torque at 5,200 RPM. Now, the other thing I mentioned is RPM. Our peak power was at 7,500, which is pretty much when we let off, right here, 7,500 RPM. So just by opening up more RPM, we're gaining power, but we also gained huge all the way through the board. And you know, for those wondering what things we change on this, it's a lot of little things that add up. Cam timing, ignition timing gets changed. The fueling may get changed. We don't change that quite as much. It depends on, you know, how the original tune's set up. Again, that's super important when you look at these gains. Now, one important thing to remember on these results is this was the first tune we threw on it. This is the tune you're going to get when you do a remote tune with us. You don't necessarily have to be on the dyno. We've tuned, I mean, this is a 2014, so, you know, 5 years of this car, and the cars prior to that, 13, 12, 11, were similar. So, you know, we've been tuning on this platform for 10 years. So we have some really good files to start off with. We are going to go ahead and make a couple tweaks to this, try to pick up a little bit more power. Rob's working on that right now. But let's go ahead and see what it makes on this one. Okay, there you go. That pull, actually, we lost a few horsepower and a few foot-pounds of torque, but I want to show you what we were after with this. We did lose a little bit, you know, as things heat up, like I've said in other videos, in your dyno tuning, there's going to be additional heat with each pull, and then you have to backtrack, let things cool off. But right now, I'll show you what we got. Okay, like I said, we lost a few horsepower and a few foot-pounds of torque, but this right here is what we were after. As you can see, the power delivery on the red had a weird hump in it, so we just smoothed all that out through there, and then we lost a little bit up top here due to the heat. So what we're going to do now is look at the log. I don't think there's a whole lot left to change though, and then we're going to let this thing cool down and get our final number, and we'll show you the back-to-back. All right, there you go. After a nice little cool down, it put down some nice numbers. Let's take a closer look at the graph. Okay, final numbers: 574 horsepower, 498 foot-pounds of torque. As you can see, the power, the blue line's the new one, nice and smooth. You know, no complaints there at all. Let's go ahead and look at it versus the baseline. Okay, there you go. Now we've got the orange line is the Roush tune that it came in on, and then the blue line is the Palm Beach Dyno tune. As you can see, it's almost unbelievable the gains that we got without changing any parts at all on the vehicle. All we did was our tune. No pulley, no additional boost at all. So huge gains. Let's take a look right here in particular, right at 5,000 RPM. We went from 366 horsepower. Sometimes this is hard to see. Looks like, I think right at 460. So almost 100 horsepower right there. And that's over 100 foot-pounds of torque. So huge gains everywhere. Like I said, these final numbers are very indicative of what you will make with this setup on the pulley that comes with the blower. The gains are going to be very dependent on the tune that you got. So, you know, not all the Roush tunes come in at this, probably. It has a lot to do with how much the car's been updated, what year it is. This is a 2014, so this tune was a little bit weaker than I would have expected as a baseline, but that just goes to show you there might be a lot of power there on the table. Anyway, that's it for this video. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our channel, share our videos. Please share our videos. We are trying to grow our channel, do more of these videos. We are going to be doing more live feeds. We're going to try and do mostly Wednesdays, every other week at least to start. So the next one is next Wednesday. I don't know when I'm going to post this though, so hopefully just keep an eye out on our YouTube to see when we're going to be doing those. We'll try and post earlier in the day in our community posts to let you know about what time we're going to be going on. That's going to vary based on our schedule here on the dyno. Anyway, keep an eye out for new videos, and we'll see you next time.